My wife posted single until further notice while we were married. I quietly gathered evidence, froze our accounts, and filed for divorce. When she finally realized I was serious, it was already too late. You know that moment when you scroll through social media half distracted, and then suddenly your chest goes cold because of what you're reading? That was me one Tuesday night, sitting on the couch with my laptop. For context, I'm 36, been married to my wife, Claire, for 7 years. We don't have kids, though we talked about it on and off. I thought we had a good rhythm. She works in PR, I'm in IT project management. Our schedules are busy but manageable. We share chores, go out with friends on weekends, check in with each other about work drama. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but I believed we were stable. Until that night. Claire had just come back from a networking dinner. She kissed me quickly on the cheek, kicked off her heels, and disappeared into the bedroom, saying she had to take a call. Normal enough. I settled in with my laptop and started scrolling through Facebook. And there it was. On her profile, our shared friends could all see it. Claire had updated her relationship status to single until further notice winking-faced. My stomach dropped. The post had already gathered a handful of likes and laughing emojis from her friends. A couple of comments. Yas queen face with tears of joy. Live your truth, that sort of thing. Nothing from family yet, thankfully. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. A glitch. Then maybe a joke. Claire has a sharp sense of humor sometimes. But this wasn't funny. Not with that smirking emoji. Not with the timing. Her coming home late, distracted, always glued to her phone. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I sat there staring at the post until my vision blurred. A weird calm settled over me. I didn't shout, didn't storm into the bedroom. Instead, I took screenshots. Multiple angles, status page, comment section, even the timestamp. I emailed them to myself and saved them on a flash drive. Then I opened our shared Google Drive. All our financial documents were there. Joint bank statements, mortgage paperwork, retirement contributions. I downloaded everything. Something in my gut told me to make sure I had records before even asking a question. When she finally came back into the living room, she was smiling at her phone. She dropped onto the couch next to me, smelled faintly of wine and perfume, and said, "You okay? You look pale." I looked at her for a long moment and just said, "Yeah, long day." She kissed me on the cheek again, then padded off toward the shower, humming. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the water run, then the blow dryer, then her slipping into bed next to me like nothing was wrong. My mind replayed that post again and again, single until further notice winking face. By morning, the plan had formed. Not revenge, not even confrontation, just clarity. I called a lawyer during my lunch break. I explained the situation as neutrally as I could: married, possible infidelity, concerning public behavior online. He listened carefully, then said, "Document everything. Don't tip your hand yet. We'll get a strategy in place before you confront her. And if you want out, the cleaner the evidence, the smoother the exit." So that's what I did. For the next 2 weeks, I became an observer in my own home. I noted when she went out, with whom. She always said coworkers or friends, never names. I checked bank transactions, restaurant charges, ride shares at odd hours. I didn't hack or spy. I just looked at the accounts we both had access to. Meanwhile, Claire carried on like nothing was amiss. In fact, she was unusually affectionate, making me coffee in the mornings, suggesting movie nights, even talking about a weekend getaway once work calms down. If I hadn't seen that post, I would have thought things were better than usual. But the post was still up, still public, still collecting the occasional face with tears of joy reaction. She hadn't taken it down. The mask cracked once. I asked, casually, "Do you still even use Facebook much?" She rolled her eyes and said, "Barely. It's just for memes and family updates." "What?" I shrugged, just wondering. She didn't flinch, didn't show an ounce of guilt. That was when I knew this wasn't a glitch or a joke. It was intentional. Whether it was for attention, to signal something to someone else, or just to test boundaries, I didn't know. But it was deliberate. And that's when my calm hardened into resolve. She wanted to play at being single until further notice. Fine. But I wasn't going to be the oblivious husband funding her lifestyle while she role-played independence online. The shock wouldn't come from me screaming or begging. It would come from silence. From paperwork. From the day she realized I wasn't a prop in her performance anymore. And so I kept my face neutral, my words even, my tone steady. But every night, behind that mask, I was quietly laying the foundation to detonate the double life she thought she was leading. The strangest part of those 2 weeks was how normal everything felt on the surface. If anyone had walked into our house, they'd have seen a couple functioning just fine. Dinners together, Netflix shows in the evening, little touches of affection here and there. To outsiders, we were stable. But under that calm, my mind was running calculations. I kept my lawyer updated. He was practical, methodical. Freeze joint assets when you're ready to file. Separate your direct deposits into a new account. Don't move out yet. It can complicate things. Quiet preparation is your best weapon. So I did just that. I opened a new checking account in my name only, rerouted my paycheck, and shifted autopay bills over. Every step made me feel more in control. Meanwhile, I kept documenting. Screenshots of her social media. Her single until further notice post stayed up for over 2 weeks. She posted photos at bars and restaurants with captions like, "Girls' night out woman dancing sparkles." But I noticed the credit card charges didn't match. Girls' night cost her $95 at a high-end steakhouse. Another co-worker dinner turned into a $180 bill at a place notorious for date nights. Still, I said nothing. Claire, for her part, seemed almost too cheerful. She'd text me during the day with little hearts, ask how work was going, even send me memes like she used to when we first dated. If I hadn't known better, I might have believed she was genuinely happy. But to me, it felt like theater. The first crack came when she asked about money. We were sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee. She leaned on her elbows and asked casually, "Hey, did you move your paycheck? The joint account looks a little light." I looked up from my mug and said evenly, "Yeah, I adjusted some things. Just making it simpler to track expenses." She blinked, then smiled. "Oh, okay. Just caught me off guard." That was it. She didn't press, but I saw something flicker behind her eyes. Suspicion? Worry? I couldn't tell. That weekend, she suggested a trip. "What if we did a weekend in Napa?" she said, scrolling through Airbnb listings. "It'd be fun, like a reset." I shrugged. "Maybe. Let's see how work goes." In reality, my lawyer and I had scheduled a formal consultation that weekend. We laid out timelines, discussed what evidence I had, what assets were shared, what liabilities existed. He was blunt. "With the documentation you've gathered, you'll be in a strong position. If she contests, it'll get messy, but you've protected yourself financially." I walked out of that meeting feeling a mix of dread and relief. Dread because the end of a marriage, no matter how justified, is brutal. Relief because I finally had a plan. The tension at home grew subtle but sharp. Claire started checking my phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I'd leave it on the counter while grabbing laundry and return to find her flipping it face down. Once, she even asked, half jokingly, "Are you hiding something from me?" I smiled faintly. "Funny, I was going to ask you the same thing." She froze for just a fraction of a second before laughing it off. Touché. But I knew she felt the shift. I wasn't reacting the way she expected. Not angry, not clingy, not accusing. Just calm, distant. The night everything tilted further was a Friday. She went out again. "Coworker happy hour," she said. I stayed home, cooked myself dinner, and watched a movie. She stumbled in around midnight, smelling of whiskey and expensive perfume. I asked good night. She tossed her purse on the chair and said, "Yeah, great. Don't wait up next time, okay?" I nodded. Sure. That was all. No confrontation. No questions. The next morning, she was oddly clingy, making pancakes, sitting on my lap while sipping her coffee, asking about my weekend plans. It felt off, like she was testing how far she could push without breaking the illusion of our marriage. By then, though, I wasn't shaken. I had already gathered every screenshot, every bank statement, every note. I had secured my finances, spoken with my lawyer, even told my closest friend, a guy I've known since college, what was happening. He said, "Man, you're handling this like a chess game. She won't see it coming." And that was exactly the point. Claire wanted to play single online, to curate this image of a free-spirited woman unburdened by commitment. Fine, she could have it, but she wouldn't have my financial backing, my trust, or my silence. The shock wasn't going to come from me yelling or begging her to explain. It was going to come from me presenting her with cold, undeniable reality. Because in a marriage, You don't get to publicly declare yourself single until further notice and still expect your partner to bankroll your dinners and trips. You don't get to perform independence while leaning on someone else's commitment. And I was done being her stage prop. So I waited. Patient, steady, deliberate. Every day I smiled, nodded, played the part of the quiet husband. Meanwhile, the exit plan solidified. When the moment came, it wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be dramatic. But it would be final. Update 1. The unraveling started on a Wednesday morning. Claire was scrolling through her phone while sipping coffee, yawning like it was any other day. I was packing my laptop bag for work when she asked, "Hey, did you see the comments on my post? People are hilarious." She tilted the screen toward me. It was her single until further notice post, still up, with dozens of laughing emojis, friends tagging each other, and even one guy typing. "So when's our date then?" Winking face. I looked at the screen, then at her. "Yeah, I saw." She giggled. "Don't take it seriously. You know how people are." I smiled. "Sure." That was it. No argument. No lecture. But I saw something flicker in her face, confusion that I didn't rise to the bait. Later that day, I left work early and met with my lawyer one last time. Papers were ready. Bank accounts fully separated. Credit cards canceled or reissued in my name only. I had even quietly taken my name off the lease renewal we were supposed to sign. Everything was lined up. When I got home, Claire was in the living room, watching TV with her laptop open. I set a thick envelope on the coffee table. "What's this?" she asked, glancing up. "Read it," I said simply. She pulled it closer, opening the flap. Inside, the divorce petition, financial records, and neatly labeled screenshots of her social media posts. The single until further notice caption was printed in bold with a date stamp. Her face drained of color. What is this?" "Documentation," I replied, sitting down across from her. "For court. For us." She flipped through the pages, her hands trembling. "Wait, you've been planning this?" "Behind my back." I tilted my head. "Behind your back?" "Claire, you posted to 500 people that you were single until further notice. You made this public." Her mouth opened, then closed. She stammered. "It was a joke. Just, just stupid words. You're blowing this out of proportion." I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. "A joke? Jokes don't come with dinner receipts and late-night bar tabs. Jokes don't leave your husband freezing accounts to keep the lights on while you play single online." Her eyes filled with tears. "Wait, no, please. It wasn't like that. I don't know, just venting. I didn't mean anything. I still love you." I shook my head slowly. Love doesn't look like this. Respect doesn't look like this. For the first time, she didn't have a smirk, a comeback, or some flirty line to diffuse tension. She just sat there, pale and shaking, staring at the proof laid out in black and white. Finally, she whispered, "So what happens now?" I stood up. "Now? You get what you wanted. Freedom. You wanted to be single until further notice? Consider the notice permanent." I walked into the bedroom, grabbed the small suitcase I'd packed earlier, and slung it over my shoulder. Her voice cracked behind me. "You're leaving?" Just like that. I paused in the doorway. "Claire, you left a long time ago. You just didn't bother telling me. You told everyone else instead." And with that, I walked out. The fallout came fast. Her text started before I even reached my friend's place across town. "Please, can we talk? It was a mistake." 10 minutes later, "Don't do this. We can fix it." An hour later, "I'm sorry. I'll delete everything." By midnight, she was calling nonstop. I muted my phone. The next day, mutual friends began reaching out. A buddy texted, "Dude, Claire's blowing up everyone's phone saying you blindsided her." "What happened?" I sent him a screenshot of her single until further notice post with a caption, "She made her choice. I'm just following her lead." His reply, "Holy SHD, respect." From there, word spread. The narrative shifted. Suddenly Claire's funny little post didn't seem so funny when people realized it cost her a marriage. Some of her own friends even commented under the post before she deleted it. "Guess the joke's on you, huh?" By the weekend, she showed up at my friend's place. Red eyes, messy hair, pleading at the door. "Please, just hear me out," she begged when I stepped outside. I screwed up. I didn't think it through. "I love you. I don't want this." I looked at her for a long time. Once, those words would have broken me, pulled me back in. But now, they felt hollow. "You wanted space," I said softly. "Now you've got it." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Goodbye, Claire. I went inside and closed the door. It was surreal, the calm I felt. Not triumph, not gloating, just clarity. I had spent weeks preparing, documenting, bracing myself for the storm. And now the storm had passed, leaving behind silence and clean air. The shock wasn't just for Claire. It was for everyone who thought I'd be the type to swallow disrespect and pretend nothing happened. But the truth was simple. Sometimes the quietest exit is the loudest statement. Final update. It's been a few months since I walked out of that house, suitcase in hand, leaving Claire staring at the divorce paperwork like it was written in a foreign language. People always imagine the hardest part of leaving is the moment you close the door. Truth is, that's the easiest. The real difficulty comes after. The silence, the empty weekends, the gnawing thought of did I overreact? Did I throw away years for one mistake? But every time doubt crept in, I'd remember her caption, single until further notice. And the comments beneath it, friends egging her on, strangers flirting, her laughing emojis. That wasn't one mistake. That was a decision she made, a mask she chose to wear when she thought I wasn't looking. The first weeks were noisy. Claire texted constantly. Long paragraphs at 2 a.m., voicemails slurring apologies, pictures of us from old trips with captions like, "Remember this?" I didn't respond. Not once. Her mother even called me one evening. She sounded exhausted, like she'd been crying. Please, talk to her. She's spiraling. She knows she messed up. I was polite but firm. I'm sorry, but she's not my responsibility anymore. Silence on the other end, then a quiet. I suppose you're right. I heard later that Claire tried spinning the story with her friends, that I'd blindsided her, that I'd been planning my escape all along. But screenshots have a way of telling their own story. Word got around. The sympathy she expected never came. In fact, some people distanced themselves from her completely. Her Instagram went from daily posts to almost nothing. Then one night, she made it private. Meanwhile, my life was quieter. My evenings, once filled with tension and second-guessing, became open space. I picked up running again, something I hadn't done since college. I reconnected with my brother, who I'd grown distant from. I even started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I tolerated those red flags for so long. My therapist said something that stuck. You didn't leave because she betrayed you. You left because you finally respected yourself more than you feared being alone. That line sits with me still. The divorce itself was surprisingly smooth. Once she realized I wasn't bluffing, she didn't fight hard. Maybe because she knew the evidence was stacked against her. Maybe because part of her did want to be single until further notice. Either way, she signed quickly. We divided assets cleanly. I kept my retirement savings, the car, and the majority of the joint account. She walked away with less than she expected, I'm sure, but more than I cared about. Money wasn't the point. Closure, however, was trickier. One afternoon, weeks after everything was finalized, I saw her by chance at the grocery store. She froze when she spotted me, then hurried over, tears in her eyes. Please, she whispered, gripping her cart. Tell me you don't hate me. I looked at her, really looked. She was thinner, her face drawn, makeup smudged like she hadn't been sleeping well. For a moment, a pang of old familiarity hit me. We'd shared years, laughter, plans. But then I remembered the countless nights she'd laughed at her phone while I sat beside her, feeling invisible. The way she'd turned our marriage into a joke for strangers online. I don't hate you, I said evenly. But I don't trust you. And without trust, there's nothing left. Her lips trembled. She nodded slowly, then walked away. That was the last time I saw her in person. Life after betrayal isn't glamorous. There's no cinematic music, no triumphant montage. It's bills to pay, laundry to do, long stretches of quiet where you wonder if you'll ever love again. But it's also freedom. Freedom from suspicion, from walking on eggshells, from pretending you don't notice your partner pulling away. Do I miss her? Sometimes yes. Not the woman who posted single until further notice, but the one I thought she was before all that. The memory of who I believed she could be. But memories aren't reality. What I've learned is this: respect is non-negotiable. Once it's gone, the relationship isn't a partnership, it's a performance. And I refuse to be anyone's background character again. These days, my friends joke that I've gone monk mode. Work, gym, therapy, repeat. Maybe they're right, but I'm content. The ring on my finger is gone. The house feels lighter, and for the first time in years, so do I. The truth didn't give me victory. It gave me peace. And peace, I've realized, is worth everything.